Hello, Cohort 10. This is MJ, and together with Betty, Judy, Nita, and Jessica, we are the Marketing Maniacs, and we are here today to talk about marketing and how to promote your business. In today's presentation, we will discuss how to develop a marketing strategy, networking, what it is and how it works, developing a referral program, staffing and its impact on marketing, and marketing transparency. Next up, here's Judy.
Developing a marketing strategy. Before you develop a marketing strategy, you need to understand the stages of a traditional marketing funnel. Marketing funnels date back to the late 1800s. They're metaphors that simply illustrate the path a person takes from being a prospect to a customer. The funnel is broken down into clear stages, which allows for understanding the customer's journey. The different stages allow the professional to cater or alter his marketing strategies to attract specific targets. It always starts with acquiring or getting customers, then upselling or cross-selling them, and then finally getting those customers to refer their friends and family to you so you acquire more customers. It's a viral loop. Current MLA Terry Beach was formerly an economics professor at SFU. He discusses the different aspects of the marketing funnel.
So you're a notary and you put out an ad in a newspaper and 10,000 people see that or something. So you've got this awareness engine. People know that you're a notary, and if they need a notary, they might call in. Okay. Now the difference between knowing that you're a notary and acquiring you to be their notary, right, is a couple steps. And what's important is understanding what the average person mentally goes through to determine, okay, I saw that person on the advertisement, I saw this person on Facebook, I have been referred to this person. Here's the criteria that I'm going to choose to pick one of those three people that I'm aware of, right? Or I'm going to Google search somebody, right? So and then out of those four people that I see, who's close to my house, what's the price, do I like this person? Have I been given, did they have good ratings on whatever notaries get rated on? And I don't know what those criteria are, but it would be important for you guys to understand what those criteria are. And there might be new criteria that nobody's ever thought of before, and that's when you get into the kind of the disruption thing, right? Like, I want to do all my business online, right? Or I want to have a drive-through notary or something. I want to go to my car and never leave. I don't know the notary business enough to tell you what these groundbreaking ideas are, but right. But that's how you get from awareness to acquisition, right? And then you start doing some math, right? You go like, well, how much am I spending on awareness? And of all that money, how many of those people are converting to actual acquired customers? So if I spent $500 in an advertisement, $500 on Facebook advertisements, and I offered $50 to anybody that refers to me a friend, and after I get 10 customers, I spent $500 on that, right? You find ways to track those different methods, and say after 6 months, the ad in the newspaper has brought in 90% of your business. Mm-hmm. Well, then you would kill those other two acquisition models, and you would triple your budget for advertising. And if that continued to scale, then you would outperform other people that are using other marketing things. And you could continue to iterate that over time, right? So constantly testing, well, now we're going to do this referral program, or now we're going to put it in this particular newspaper, right? And if it ever performs better than your existing marketing programs, then you're constantly taking whatever budget you set aside in your business for advertising and improving that section so that you get more acquisition. Once you get the acquisition, then you look at the revenue side. Okay, so for everybody that I acquire, how much business am I getting?
Once you understand the funnel, you need to build that funnel for your business. If you want your business to be viewed in a particular way, it's vital that you convey the right messages about you and your services.
A, B, C. A, always, B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing. AIDA, attention, interest, decision, action. Attention, do I have your attention? Interest, are you interested? I know you are, because it's fuck or walk. You close or you hit the bricks. Decision, have you made your decision for Christ? And action. AIDA, get out there. You got the prospects coming in. You think they came in to get out of the rain? A guy don't walk on the lot lest he wants to buy. Sitting out there waiting to give you their money. Are you going to take it?
Obviously, every company has a different marketing strategy. What works for one notary may not work for you, so your marketing strategy should be specific to you. While you're building your own funnel, you should keep in mind the elements of a competitive marketing positioning strategy, which include having a positioning statement, which is a clear statement of the identity you've determined for your business. You then must compare your identity against competitors. You should focus on your strengths to determine how you can use it to fill any gaps left by your competitors. This will allow you to understand marketplace conditions. This also allows you to determine your existing market position and how your new positioning sets you apart from the rest. You must then develop a unique market position. Developing a unique impression of your business in the mind of your competitors and clients allow you to outline who you are and what you are not. Finally, you should always do qualitative and quantitative testing of your current market positioning. Once you have your strategy figured out, you should start implementing that strategy. You must first identify your goals and objectives. Then you need to identify your customers by doing the proper research. Finally, you need to identify your competitors. What types of marketing will you utilize? Search engine optimization or search engine marketing? You can use search engine optimization on page or off page, such as paid search ads or paid per click. Social media? Once you select the appropriate channel or channels, you can plan and optimize your social content. Content marketing? Such as blogging, infographics, press releases, forums, articles, videos, podcasting, webinars, documents, LinkedIn, or guest blogging on someone else's blog. Mobile marketing? Your goals here are important as you want to choose the right platforms. Finally, do you plan to grow your business by sending emails directly to your current contact list? Targeted ads. The various forms of marketing should all come together as one complete marketing campaign. For example, through the utilization of search engine optimization or search engine marketing, different social media such as Facebook and Twitter should bring awareness and consideration to potential customers. Retargeted ads like content or mobile marketing and direct email promotions should turn those potential customers into actual customers who show a preference for your business and actively choose you over other notaries. Finally, the customers show their loyalty to you by returning to you whenever they need the services of a notary public. You now have a strategy in place and various marketing methods, but how do you know if your chosen strategy and marketing methods are effective? You'll have to analyze each form of marketing on a routine basis to determine how effective each strategy is. You'll have to compare your financial outlay to the amount of revenue generated or number of customers gained. Ideally, you'll want to specifically measure what percentage of overall company revenue can be traced back to your marketing team's efforts, how your marketing activities help grow and accelerate your business, the conversion rate or rates of the various marketing activities, your cost per lead or cost per opportunity. You're achieving the desired results, but are you doing so in the most effective way possible? Brand awareness. How aware are customers of you and what you do? Next, here's Nita.
In this part of the presentation, I'll be discussing networking. What is it exactly? How does it work? And why it should be an essential marketing tool when you start your own business. So let's start by looking at the definition of networking. Networking is the exchange of information or services among individuals, groups, or institutions. Now, this is more of a macro and broader definition. The next definition, I think, is more relatable to networking in the marketing sense. So here, networking is defined as the cultivation of productive relationships for employment or business. So at this point, now that we know what networking means exactly and how it works, I'm going to share some fun facts about the process of networking, which I find quite interesting. So the first one is that networking is hardly a new concept. So it's been around for decades. The practice has been around since the Industrial Revolution. So this is when businesses recognized that there was the need and the benefit of collaborating and trusting a wider range of people. So networking can be both formal and informal. It can take place over a short time span, or it can continue for a lifetime. Networking is viewed by some as purely transactional, while others view it as transformational. Networking is the subject for more than 100,000 books, seminars, and online conversations. So that's huge. And lastly, people are connecting with others around the globe every second of every day about every imaginable topic. Okay, so let's be honest. Some are going to be better at networking than others. The art of networking is not going to come easily to everybody. You know, some people are just naturally going to be good at it, while others may not be used to or comfortable with approaching people and putting themselves out there. And you know what? That's okay. The important thing is to be aware of your strengths and your weaknesses, and just make a concerted effort to practice this process, as you will learn that networking will be very valuable in generating positive results for your business. So there are many business owners out there who are running and operating flourishing businesses, and they credit their success to networking because they make it a priority. So there's many strategies available for people who are prioritizing networking as an effective tool to both enhance and build their business. You may want to do some in-depth research as to what is realistic for you, and most importantly, what approach you're comfortable with. However, I've outlined the 7 success principles of networking, which you may find useful as a starting point. So the first one is don't be attached to a specific outcome. So enter into your networking relationship by providing a resource, such as offering your area of expertise. Secondly, don't keep score. So what that means is approach the relationship with an attitude of helping people versus looking for people to help you. Number 3, so try to have a genuine interest in the other person. Let the other person have his or her 15 minutes of fame. So don't just talk about yourself. Actively listen. Number 4, look for common bonds. So I think this is a really important one. People who share similar interests have a focus of collecting information about their subject. So if you meet somebody at your networking event and you connect with them on some common denominator or you share some common ground, it's more likely that these people are going to remember you, and not maybe because of what you're offering, but because of that common connection that you guys actually had. Point 5, approach the relationship from a perspective of abundance. So those professionals who are sincere about giving versus getting are naturally thinking of abundance versus scarcity. Point 6, have an attitude of gratitude. So most successful networkers are thankful for opportunities to share ideas and resources. The more positive results you put out in the universe, the more will come back to you. So be positive when you go to these networking events. Point 7, pay it forward. So every successful person has a genuine desire to help others achieve success. You often hear, "How can I ever repay you?" The most successful professionals often reply back with, "Just pay it forward." Regardless of how big or small your networking goals are, so for example, whether you've decided that you're going to go introduce yourself to your neighbor next door to your notary office who happens to be a real estate agent, or whether you're attending a big networking event for entrepreneurs. Try not to think of it as something you have to do. Try to have a positive outlook on the process. This is something that will only achieve a positive outcome for you. Even if you end up connecting with only 1 or 2 people at these events, these connections may generate double that in referrals. Think of it as a great first step to marketing the greatest product you have to offer, which is you. In fact, when you're networking, you're not only selling a service or item, but you're selling yourself. So, like I said before, have a positive attitude and put your best foot forward. What do you have to lose? So hopefully at this point, you can start setting some goals for yourself. You can start off a little slow and work your way up to some bigger networking goals. Regardless of it, start thinking about it. Start thinking about what you're comfortable with and what's realistic for you at this point. Ultimately, these will contribute to enhancing your business as a notary. So get out there, start networking, and have fun.
Hello again. I will be discussing how to develop a referral program. The first step is to determine how prospect clients can find you and end up in your office. Unfortunately, the general public is not familiar with what a notary does or what a role in the profession is. Therefore, when they need a notary, they don't necessarily know where to look or who to choose. So how do clients come to you? Well, they can find advertising on the internet, magazines, mailed-in brochures. They can ask their family and friends if they have ever used a notary before and what their experience was. Or in the case of some conveyancing files, they can ask their realtor or mortgage broker. So I had the pleasure of interviewing Ken Shirk, a notary with over 30 years of experience, how he believes clients end up in his office, and this is what he had to say.
Really what I did in the early years, I advertised in the yellow pages, which was really the only form of advertising where people would look in the telephone book to come down and see your office, so you had to advertise, and it varied from a quarter page to an eighth of a page. I never advertised anymore because just because you had a bigger ad didn't mean people didn't notice you, so I was in red. And so that would catch people's eye. That's all I ever did. Then the yellow pages changed. We went to the internet, and the web page. So that's all pretty new in the last 5 years. The rest of my practice has been done on referrals, but not actively where I've actively had a strategy to do that. Just I was too busy working. And people were coming in, but I guess the people that liked my work would go tell a friend who'd tell a friend who'd tell a friend. Okay? And so that's how it is pretty well to this day.
What is the importance of a referral and how it can help your business? A good referral program can minimize your marketing costs because you will focus on client satisfaction rather than spending resources on advertising. A good referral program will also enrich your relationships with your clients and other professionals in the industry. If you are not certain or proficient in a particular area of law, you can turn to your fellow notaries and lawyers for advice or refer your clients out. In doing so, you're showing your clients that customer satisfaction is of more importance than revenue, and it can also open the doors to reciprocity from other law professionals. This, too, will result in a stream of business from returning customers and peers. I also had the pleasure of interviewing Rimpi Sadra, a notary public since 2011, about the importance of referrals in advertising yourself as a notary.
It's interesting. I tried doing advertising very early on, just because how else do you get your kind of name out there, right? And you've got family and friends, but you can't expect them to be like, hey, come to me, come to me. It's probably better not to have of that. So I did this one marketing campaign, and everyone, and it was in a magazine, and people were like, hey, we see your ad, great. Never really saw anything generated from it until one day. The last time I said, it was the last time we're putting this ad in, nothing's really come in. We had one client call, and she said, oh, I saw your ad in the magazine, and I'm purchasing a condo, and that was 5.5 years ago, and since then, I've never advertised in that magazine again, but she has done about 10 purchase and sales through us. So in that respect, I was like, oh, well paid off, right? She's been our long-term client, and she comes back repeatedly, and so for children now. And that's where I'll go to, where she says, she's referred her children, she's referred other people. And I think the best form of marketing is really your clients. They really are. They what they say about you is more priceless than any type of picture or that you put in the paper or even online advertising. Like, I have tried them. I've tried Google, and I think Google reviews work a lot, probably more in terms of people wanting to come to you, especially if you're a target market, if you're looking at the more millennials or
Younger people.
The younger people. I shouldn't say the younger people. I sometimes consider I'm young, but then someone says you're kind of old.
No, we are young.
Yes, I mean, I think it's the referrals, hands down. It could be your realtors, it could be the mortgage brokers, family, friends. They're all there. That's your biggest referral. That's your best advertising.
So who is a qualified referral source in our profession? Realtors and mortgage brokers need lawyers and notaries to complete conveyancing transactions. These two sources can refer clients to you if they believe in your proficiency and have a good relationship with you and the members of your practice. Also, a great source of referrals are other lawyers and notaries like previously discussed. Remember Rule 11 of the Society of Notaries Public? This rule discusses conflict of interest. As Graham Bobrick once taught us when discussing the doctrine of agency and fiduciary duty, an agent cannot serve two masters at the same time. There will always be two sides in conveyancing, the purchasing side and the selling side. And since one practice cannot represent both sides, one of them must be referred out. Be the notary that gets that referral. Be the notary other lawyers and notaries call when they need to send clients out for independent legal advice. Form good, trusting relationships with a member of your profession. And last but not least, there are those who we have previously served, our clients. Maester believes existing clients represent your best source of business. If they are happy with the services you have provided them, they will come back to you, or they will talk to their friends, family, banker, realtor, bartender, you name it. There is no better way of advertising than your client bragging to everybody they know about their great experience with their notary. I have personally worked at a notary firm for 2 years, and most of our clients have come to us because someone they know have suggested they should come to see us first. So how do you get that client referral? It's simple. Be a good notary. Do good work so your clients will come back to you. Jay Funberg wrote in his book, How to Start and Build a Law Practice, listen to your clients and find out not only what they need, but most importantly, what your clients want. Clients don't only want you to work hard, but they also want your attention. That is how you gain their trusts, by being a true professional. And speaking about professionalism, which happened to be the topic of Group 1's presentation, how can a notary use professionalism as a marketing tool? The best way to advertise yourself to your clients is by acting like the professional they expect you to be. Clients want to know their notary is interested in them, and that interest will result in the commitment and dedication to the work they perform for them. The best way to sell is not to sell, but it is to care. Professionalism and market are not in conflict with each other. They go hand to hand. So as Meister beautifully put it in his book, True Professionalism, you are a professional, then act like one. Your clients will trust a true professional and they will pay for the services of one. During my interview with Ken Shirk, I also asked him what differentiates him from other notaries and why clients keep coming back to use his services.
Most people are happy. That's why they're coming and going out. Not lots of people go, oh, this was a fantastic experience. You get letters and you get cards saying, you know, you were great. And you say, okay, well, that's nice. But I think a lot of people will come to me because they know we're efficient and proficient in getting stuff done. So I'll get a lot of transactions that are people, they know it's complicated, so they'll end up sending it to us, or there's a short time frame. And so you don't get some of the better deals or the regular deals. You get some of these deals come in because, oh, we need somebody to get things fixed and done properly. So that in itself is you talk about that referral network about, oh yeah, Ken can do this. So
you can call it a trust relationship. They trust you're going to get the
well,
work
or
done.
they feel as though you're competent to
Mm-hmm.
get that deal done. Maybe a short space of time where it's complicated, and they know your reputation is things come through the office and always seem to get done.
In short, clients come to you because they have a problem that needs fixing, and clients will continue to come to you because they trust you will professionally and proficiently solve their problems as you have done in the past. Trust is not only the key to your working relationship with your clients, but an essential ingredient to how you advertise yourself. Like everything else in life, word of mouth can go right or word of mouth can go wrong. Let's focus on the positive first. A referral that works well reflects positively on the working relationship with your referring client. The client that referred you is happy the referral worked out and will continue to bring business and refer you to others. And on the other hand, the referral enjoyed the experience and will become a new client who will in turn refer you. Very simple. Everybody wins. Unfortunately, that is not always the case. We have all seen it. The bad reviews on Google, Yelp, Facebook. We have heard the horror stories from dissatisfied customers who went to see the notary that treat them poorly, or even worse than that, they were not interested in their business. Unsatisfied clients will not recommend you and will deter others from using you. Now that is bad marketing. So how you avoid it? It's simple. Treat every prospect client that walks through your door as a client you respect, a client you care for, a client you would like to keep. Let your professionalism show. Also remember the Society of Notaries Public Rule 14 on advertising. It is the duty of every member to protect the reputation, honor, and integrity of our profession. Any form of advertising or promotion by a member which fails to uphold this duty will result in a disciplinary action. When you're advertising yourself, you're not only representing yourself, you're representing the profession as a whole. Think of every notary out there. Up next, here's Betty.
Hey everyone, it's Betty and I'll be discussing staffing and the impact on marketing. If you have staff in your office, it is likely that they will be the first point of contact with any client. Whether it's a new client or a repeat client, it is likely the staff will have a conversation with them prior to you. Steve Cates, an associate professor of marketing at Simon Fraser University Beatty School of Business, explains online reviews can have a significant impact on consumer decisions. This is because they're a form of word-of-mouth communications. Whether it's online or face-to-face, they can be viewed as more trustworthy than advertising. Essentially, one bad review can have a disproportionate effect on consumers' opinions. Let's take a look at some negative reviews from different law and notary offices. The ones chosen specifically pertain to staffing. However, it's important to note that bad reviews can be a result of many different things. So one states the assistant wasn't very patient. Another one is complaining about a secretary that didn't schedule the right appointment. One says, I believe they are not happy in what they are doing. Maybe they should change their job because they weren't helpful at all. And finally, one says they look nice and kind, but they're rude inside and way unprofessional. When considering the staffing aspect of marketing, I thought it would be a good idea to introduce my friend Vanessa, who's in the field.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me. I am a staffing manager with Robert Half. I've been there for just under a year now, but I've been in recruitment for over 2 years, and I do have a background in human resources. So, staffing is something I'm really passionate about, so I'm happy to assist where needed and answer any questions.
Great, thanks so much for coming. And Vanessa just got newly promoted to a management position, so she's worked really hard, and I feel like she'll have a good insight on some of the questions here. So let's just jump in. As notaries, we're providing valuable legal services to our clients. From your experience, what characteristics should we look for when considering who to hire?
I think, one of the first things employers look for is the qualifications and skill set and schooling. But that's almost, of course, look for that. But that sometimes, if that's all you look for, that can be, a bit of a mistake, because there's a lot more into finding, someone that's going to be a good fit for your organization. You have to see if they're a culture fit, bring them in and to meet the staff, to see if they, get along with everyone. Because if they just have the skill set and they don't get along with the staff and are a good culture fit for the organization, then they won't succeed. So, along with maybe having an interview process, a lot of companies are taking on having like a working interview to see how they work on site, to see if it's a good fit. So, taking more steps sometimes is beneficial for a long-term candidate.
And the attitude they may have with the staff. So, and that goes into the dynamic for sure. Okay, well, on the other end of the spectrum, I'm going to read you a quote from one of the readings that we were assigned. So a leader does not build a business. A leader builds an organization that builds a business. So the way I perceived this was basically, as we had discussed in the first question, it's important for us to hold our staff to a high standard. However, it is equally as important for us to ensure that the staff want to continue to work for us. So what qualities do you think a leader must possess in order to ensure that their staff are happy?
Yeah, definitely. It's super important to, as a manager, to do what you can to keep your employees engaged and want to work for you. So I think flexibility in the workplace is really key. Things come up in an employee's life, and maybe they have to, leave early one day or work a shorter week or work one day from home. There has to be some flexibility with management, because, with the way life is for, very fast paced, things come up, and if employers are able to have that flexibility, the employee is going to be engaged and want to work for you. So flexibility is key. Being approachable as well, for candidates to have those conversations. Being available for them is key as well, because you want your employees to be able to be open with you, so you know what's going on and you're able to assist.
Fair enough. So what I got out of that was flexibility can result in higher productivity, right?
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
And it rhymes.
Okay, great. Now, to zero in a little bit on the marketing perspective, how critical of a role do you think that staffing plays in running a business?
Very critical, because I think, who your staff are there, who's representing your organization, whether it's on site and, connecting with clients, but off site as well, because, people often talk about where they work and, how's your work? Are you enjoying your role? And, when they're sharing that with their network, if it's positive, that's potential clients for the organization, potential people to actually work for you in the future. So, just having that positive work environment and good culture, your staff ideally, is talking about your organization and bringing in more business. So it's always good to leave a positive note no matter what.
Right, and I feel also that customers can sense the environment that the office has. So if there's some kind of tension or animosity among the staff, then perhaps that can translate into the customer having a negative experience as well. So,
absolutely. I think the moment, the customer walks in, they can sense, if someone is really happy to assist them and the environment.
Legitimately.
So it actually reflects all of that. So definitely those are key factors into that as well.
Great. Well, lastly, what advice would you give to our cohort when it comes to recruiting staff for our offices? And are there any detrimental mistakes made by lawyers and or notaries that you feel you have encountered and we would benefit from knowing?
I think it's very important to, in the recruitment process, to make sure, every, candidate that you call for a certain role, any connection that you make along the way, you want to leave that on a positive note, because it's your business that you're representing, and in a sense, you're marketing not only to potential employees that, may want to work there, but if they're not a good fit, they may eventually be a client. If the interview, it's not a good process for the candidate, there's no follow-up, or the interview is, stressful or rushed, that's a representation of your organization. So I think that's a huge mistake that people, even in the law industry, make. It is a very fast-paced and demanding industry.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes fitting in an interview for a whole hour, it can be tough. So
Right.
I've seen scenarios where, if the candidates haven't had a good experience. I think that's something that,
People need to be cognizant.
Yes, time needs to be invested into that,
Right.
because you'll gain a lot more, because people go into interviews and sometimes doesn't work. If they had a positive experience, they'll come back and they'll be a client one day.
Right.
So I think every connection really counts.
So essentially your reputation is paramount even during an interview.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, I really appreciate your time and all of your advice. I hope that we got something out of that.
Awesome. I'm glad I was able to assist. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's briefly summarize the key points in that interview. So understanding the needs of both your client and your staff will ensure that your business is run in an efficient and productive manner. Understanding the value an experienced employee brings is crucial when deciding who to hire. However, knowing what the proper compensation should be is equally as important. Meister discusses the effectiveness of non-financial recognition, explaining that an employee can place a higher value on acknowledgement over a raise. Vanessa discussed the need for a culturally fit candidate in detail. The ability to perform a task adequately is only a fraction of what to look for in a potential staff member. Staff retention is almost as critical as client retention. It is essential to know the value your staff bring, and at the same time, it is imperative to know when a staff member needs to be terminated.
The Society rules regarding the supervision of employees expect that the notary and staff are aware of the scope of the law that governs them. The notary needs to keep the staff knowledgeable and up to date about any changes in the relevant law, and at the same time, the staff may never advise or perform a task that they are not legally permitted. Further to the previous slide, and as Group 1 touched upon, us as legal professionals having earned the utmost trust from our clients is evident by the sensitive information that they provide us. This book discusses the corporate culture as a whole, including economics, finance, business, and the legal field. But I found their research that 60 to 75% of information security breaches are committed by staff to be a staggering number, and one definitely worth mentioning. Rimpi Sandra, mentioned earlier in our presentation, gave a perfect example of how quickly this can occur when she mentioned a realtor calling her office and asking if the financing was approved for one of her clients. The staff in your office should be vigilant about not only knowing their boundaries within the law, but also what information they can disclose and under which circumstances. Ultimately, a privacy breach can be detrimental to the success of your practice. While this image may have an element of humor, the story I will share with you certainly won't. During my practicum, I had a personal conversation with a staff member who disclosed to me that prior to working in that office, she worked at another one in which the notary fired her shortly after her mother was diagnosed with a terminal illness. As she was telling me the story, I could see the emotion in her eyes when she recalled the notary stating, "You need to get your priorities straight." My point of sharing this with you isn't to determine whether the notary was justified in firing their staff member. Rather, it is for us to understand that even in situations where firing someone is inevitable, we need to be cognizant in the manner in which we do so, because ultimately the impact it may have on someone could be profound. Up next, we have Jessica.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and I'll be discussing marketing transparency. I'll be discussing what transparency in marketing is and how it pertains to notaries. Rule 14 of the Society of Notaries Public of British Columbia, the Notaries Act, Section 18, clarifying client expectations, and best practice. What is transparency in marketing? According to Rimpi Sadra, a notary who conducts business with transparency takes ownership over all of their mistakes and faults. This essentially means that whenever we portray ourselves to the public, or market ourselves, or do any kind of advertising, we provide an open invitation for scrutiny and broadcast essentially all of our flaws and limitations. When notaries conduct business with a certain level of transparency, it allows the public to feel more comfortable when conducting business with us. It establishes a trust-based relationship because nothing is concealed. Rimpi further states that if a notary has made a mistake when executing documents, the notary must first and foremost own up to the mistake, get ahead of it, and explain to the client how he or she is going to rectify it. Next, I'll be discussing some aspects of Rule 14 of the Society of Notaries Public. The preamble states, "It is the duty of every member to protect the reputation, honor, and integrity of our profession." In regards to advertising, it further states that any form of advertising or promotion that fails to uphold or adhere to this duty will result in disciplinary action by the Society. This means that it is our fundamental responsibility as notaries to conduct ourselves in a manner that is both genuine and professional. In addition, adhering to this high level of excellence will not only garner the public's trust, but also the trust of other professionals. Rule 1402 states that advertising and promotional material should be dignified and truthful. It should not be unethical, misleading, sensational, or flamboyant in nature. This illustrates how the Society wants us to refrain from being too flashy or coming across as insincere. As was previously discussed by my other teammates, a number of people are unaware that notaries even exist or what exactly our role in society is. So it is our responsibility as notaries to market ourselves in the most professional and transparent way possible. This brings us to D, which states that members must not describe themselves as an expert or specialist in any aspect of their work. An expert implies a certain level of skill, training, and education that isn't demanded from a notary, and would falsely convey to the public a guarantee of 100% success rate on every transaction or a non-contested will. Instead, the Society permits advertising or promotional material that can attest to the years one has been in practice and the specific fields the notary has the most experience working in, whether it be conveyancing or estate planning. Next, I'll be talking about working within one's scope as a notary. I believe that in order for us as notaries to be as transparent as possible, we need to understand our scope as a notary and what limitations we have in order to be able to clearly convey that to our clients. Section 18 of the Notaries Act outlines what documents and services a notary is able to draw up, execute, and perform. I believe that it is essential that a notary stay within the scope as defined in Section 18. And if a conflict arises when conferring with a client or during the initial meeting, it is imperative that a notary inform their client during that face-to-face time that there could be a potential problem and that they will be unable to assist them or it falls outside of their scope of what notaries are permitted to do. Section 18b1 states that a member enrolled and in good standing may draw and supervise the execution of wills by which the will maker directs the will maker's estate to be distributed immediately on death. This notion of a will maker's estate being distributed immediately on death wasn't adhered to by Joe McDonald, a notary who created a life estate for a client. In the Law Society of British Columbia versus McDonald, the Law Society argued that the creation of a life estate is in direct contravention of Section 18b1. For the estate of the will maker is occupied by the life tenant, and it is only when the named life tenant passes away that the estate will be distributed to the remainder. When executing a will for a client, the client is unaware of our limitations and what kinds of wills we are able to draw up. It is a notary's responsibility and duty to keep updated and educate themselves about the law and how it pertains to a notary and to convey that information to their clients. And if they find that they are unable to perform certain legal services, it is imperative to inform the client immediately. When we're discussing transparency in marketing, it is also essential that we ascertain what exactly the client's needs are. This is evident when executing wills for clients containing trust. Section 18B3 states that a member enrolled and in good standing may draw and supervise the execution of wills that provide for the assets of the deceased to vest in the beneficiary or beneficiaries as members of a class not later than the date when the beneficiary or beneficiaries of the youngest of the class attains majority. Thus, we as notaries must do our due diligence when interviewing clients for the execution of wills, and we must determine what clauses they need and what they want incorporated, and ascertain at an early stage whether they need trust that will vest in the beneficiary beyond the age of majority, or if they need a life estate. On a personal note, over the summer, the notary I was with received a frantic phone call from a new notary who had accepted a client over the phone. She had emailed her client a wills information sheet. The client had emailed it back the following day and informed her that he needed the will within 2 weeks because he was going on vacation. She agreed and scheduled a meeting. The day before the meeting, she finally took a look at the wills information sheet and noticed that the client needed a trust that would extend beyond the beneficiary reaching the age of majority. In a panic, she called the notary I was mentoring with and asked for his advice. He informed her that there was nothing either one of them could do. She would have to own up to her mistake, confess to the client that it was an oversight on her part and she should have met with him earlier. In this instance, it's always good to meet with a client first, face-to-face, to ascertain what their needs are, what their wants are, in order to make an informed decision and in order to avoid mistakes like this new notary made. In conclusion, the best practice for notaries is to promote and advertise services that are within their scope. If a notary is unclear as to whether a legal service falls outside of their scope, they can always consult with PAL, the Practice Advisory Line, or confer with their mentor or call another notary. If a notary is aware that a requested service falls outside of their scope, it's always best to refer them to a professional who can assist them. After all, we're notaries, not tax accountants or lawyers or surveyors or engineers.
In conclusion, marketing funnel, how to get, maintain, and grow customers. Before you can start promoting yourself and your business, you need to have a clear marketing strategy in place, a strategy that you can tweak periodically, which will help you to grow your business.
Start networking now. Get out there and make some real connections and have fun.
A referral program that works well will retain and bring new customers while saving on advertising costs. Remember, your clients are your best source of advertising, so let them know how you're a professional and that you care.
Staff are an integral component of a successful business. Competent, knowledgeable, and satisfied employees will result in higher productivity, therefore generating more revenue from new and repeat clients.
Transparency in marketing will help aid in strengthening a notary's reputation as an honest, reliable, and trustworthy person.
Doze.
Gracias.
Spasibo.
Dhanyavad.